All right, guys, Darren from FBA Elite, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're going to try and find a really good product. It's that simple. I've run out of ideas for good videos, so I know that many of you are starting Amazon FBA at the moment, and finding your first product is the biggest challenge. So I'm going to do some live product research. I'm going to show you the method I use, and I'm going to keep recording this video until I find a good product. So it could be 5 minutes, it could be 50 minutes, it could be longer. I'll edit it down either way, so you haven't got to watch the entire thing. So I'm going to talk you through the process that I go through, and let's just see what we find. So the first thing I want you to do is to go to Amazon, and I want you to think of maybe any random product that you've purchased recently. Exclude anything that's like a big brand or anything that's likely to be restricted on Amazon, so maybe something you eat or something you put on your skin or something that's sharp, etc. So in my example, I've got a rechargeable lamp, which you guys can actually see behind me. You can see to the side there's a new lamp on the fireplace behind, which I'll show you in a moment. Let's take a look at this niche, and it's not about the actual product you're entering. It is what we're going to do from here to find new ideas. That's what I want you guys to focus on. So it's not massively important where you start, but if you start with a big branded product, often it's difficult to end up down the rabbit hole that I want you to end up down, because by doing it this way, we're generally going to find more private label products because they're going to be sold by lots of individual sellers than if you started with a big brand name. So you can see here, this is the lamp that I bought. I was suckered in by the bestseller badge. Actually, let me just show you this, right? Let me show you this product first. I'm going to put this on mute because I think they've got a video that plays as well. Right, I wanted the lamp to go in the background of my videos to just offer a bit of contrast, really. And I looked at this, thought this will look all right on the fireplace. The pictures look quite good. And then it turned up today. I even watched some of the video. Look, check out this video. Right, look at that. Yeah? Looks like a reasonable sized lamp, doesn't it? Yeah, you think that that's going to look okay up there? Look how big that thing is. Let me go and get it. Look at the size of this thing. Let me bring it up first. Look at that. My hand, I haven't got big hands, right? This makes me look like I've got fingers like Prince Charles, this thing. This lamp is tiny. Now, from a customer's perspective, it's a frustrating experience because the lamp does what they said it would do, but I'm disappointed by the size of it. It actually looks pretty rubbish set up on that fireplace. Now, I know I've gone off on a side rant here because we're supposed to be focusing on product research, but it's so important that when a customer buys a product, and they get the product, it's what they expect it to be. I did not expect to get this mini lamp, having watched the first, well, look at the first couple of seconds of this video. Do you think they look, I don't know, this lady maybe has got like tiny hands, but I haven't got big hands, and this lamp is tiny. So anyway, like I say, I digress. Just make sure the product that your customer gets is what they're expecting it to get. Otherwise, at least make it clear in your photos that your product is quite small. Otherwise, you will have a high return rate, and if you've got a return rate above the niche average, that will go against your ranks, and obviously you're going to lose money because they're returns as well. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I just found it on image 8, which is not actually visible in the standard gallery because they've got the video there instead. So unless you actually click on this and then click through the gallery, you're not going to see this one here, which has the measurements on it of 15.2 centimeters by 6.5, which, yeah, they are quite small. And if I'd have known that, I probably wouldn't have gone for that exact model, but I shouldn't have to go that far down to find that. So maybe I'm just being nitpicky. I'll be interested to see what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. But either way, let's get back to the product research. So we've got the rechargeable lamp, and what we're trying to do in this niche is we're trying to find other sellers that have successful products already, and then we're going to see what other products they sell, because good products tend to hang around together, because if a seller's got one successful product, they generally know what they're doing with Amazon, and they've probably got other products as well. So by doing this method, by using this technique, you never know what you're going to find. You're going to find all sorts of ideas that you wouldn't have come across doing it any other way. So once you've loaded something like X-Ray, so I use X-Ray from Helium 10 for my product research. You might use various other pieces of sales estimation software out there, but my favorite has always been X-Ray, so that's why I use it. Click on filter results. Let's take out the sponsored results. And then I'm going to sort these by price, because I want to see products that are selling at a good price point. I don't really care about products that are selling for a tenner. I want something that's selling close to £20 or above, as then there's probably going to be a reasonable margin in it. So that's the first thing that I'm looking for, but I also want to look at the products that are selling well. So I've got no interest in these products that are selling less than 100 units. Potentially, I might look at this one. So I'm going to open this in a new tab, because they're doing 110 units per month, which might be a decent amount for a new seller who has a reasonably small budget. Now, a seller that's got a bigger budget might look at 200 to 300 units per month. I wouldn't go much higher than that for a new seller, maybe a 500 cutoff. I wouldn't look at 600, 700, 800 units per month for a new seller. That's going to require a big financial investment in inventory and also a big financial investment in PPC or pay-per-click advertising as well to actually launch that product. So start with a slower selling product, get used to the process, understand how it all works before you take on some of these higher selling products. So if we scroll down a bit further, we see all these are in double figures. These guys here, 21.98, 716, a little bit on the high side, but you never know what else you're going to find, and that's actually a camping light, but it doesn't matter because we're just going to go down these rabbit holes. And this one here, 19.99, 384 units per month. And you can do this for as many sellers as you want, providing it sells for a reasonable amount and it sells a reasonable number of units as well. And if you really want to narrow it down, just focus on GB sellers as well. As often, if it's being sold by a GB seller, you know there's going to be a good margin in the product. If you're just clicking on Chinese sellers, you never know. A lot of their products have a much smaller margin as they're selling directly from the factory. So there's a few things to keep in mind. So let's go through some of these products to see if these sellers, so we go to the individual product listing and we want to go onto the sellers page and we want to see what other products they've got. So let's click onto these guys here, which is sold by Beliza Solutions Limited. And then when it opens up their profile, scroll to the very bottom of the page till you see products and then click on see all products. And this will show you all of the products that this seller sells. And actually, they've only got two products. They've got the rechargeable lamp and they've also got a motion sensor light for, well, I guess you could use it in various cupboards, couldn't you, going by the title. So maybe we'll have a look at a motion sensing indoor light if we can find the right search term. Let's click onto this product. Motion sensor lights indoors. Let's try that and see what the search expander here, motion sensor. Yeah, so the top search here is motion sensor lights indoor. And if we activate search expander from Helium 10, when we put in the search term, it will confirm what the search volumes actually are and also suggest some other ones so we can ensure we're using the right search term. We can see here, motion sensor lights indoors actually has a 21,000 search volume. So despite the fact it's a little bit awkward to say and maybe isn't the best possible English, it is the highest search volume relevant keyword. So we can click on that and then we can do our analysis on that niche knowing that we're using the best keyword. So firstly, a quick scroll down. Let's make sure that these products are all comparable. The initial analysis seems to suggest they are all of different shapes and sizes, but they are indeed all different motion sensing lights. Now let's run X-ray properly and do some real product analysis so you guys can understand how I assess the niche. So the first thing, we've ensured that the products are comparable. There's no point doing this if the products on the search results aren't comparable. The next thing, filter out all of your sponsored products to clean up the search results. Then we're going to take a look at the search volume to see if this product is seasonal. So over the 1 year view, we can see it is definitely seasonal. It does drop off quite a bit in the summer, which makes sense as generally it's brighter both outdoors and indoors in the summer for more of the time. And then in the winter, the demand picks up as things are generally darker. So although I recommend people avoid products that are very, very seasonal, providing there is still demand out of season and you're happy at those sales levels. So for example here, the search volume drops to just over 5,000, whereas in the winter it's around 20,000. So you're losing about 75% of your sales. So if you're selling 400 a month in the winter months and you're dropping down to 100 a month in the summer months, that's quite a big drop off. So you might want to avoid this if you were a new seller, as that is quite strong seasonality. But as long as you're aware of the seasonality and you can plan the inventory accordingly, that it isn't always a red flag, providing it's not too extreme and there is obviously demand throughout the rest of the year. Then from left to right, some of the things we look at, I want to ensure this isn't brand dominated, either by Amazon selling their own products or brands that are under the Amazon guise, or other big brands that you may have heard of. And there's no brands here that are dominating in this niche, and there's no brands here that I've heard of, so there's no problem at all. Next thing to look at is the price. I prefer to sell products for at least £20, so that gives you a good margin for all of the fees and the PPC that you're going to have to run to launch a product as well. This niche is maybe a fraction on the low side. We do have some demand here at $26.24 and $26.99 and $22.99. So there is some evidence there that potentially with the right product, there is demand at the higher price point. So that isn't necessarily a red flag. I really like the demand in this niche in terms of how well these sales are spread. What you often see is the first few products might be doing like 500, 700, maybe a couple in the 1,000 territory, and then it drops off quite sharply. So if you see this, where you've got a landing zone of 10 to 20 places, Or if you can get anywhere on this first place, you're going to achieve sales upwards of 100 per month, potentially 150, 200 plus per month. So this is a great example of demand. Even if some of the other things may not stack up, this is the sort of demand that you like to see, where it's really well spread across that first page. It gives you such a big landing zone for your product. Whether you land in 5th or 10th, you're still going to generate sales. So that's a really positive sign. Sales graph you can use to validate the seasonality that we saw on the search volume. So you can click on individual products to see how they sell throughout the year as well. And you can see there's a little bit of seasonality there. And each product will perform differently, so don't read too much into an individual product. Look at least 5 products and look for patterns across the board to see if there's seasonality issues there. Revenue is just basically a multiplier. It's just the total sum of your sales multiplied by your price. So if you've already done your analysis based on these, you don't necessarily have to look at revenue, or some people just prefer to look at revenue, and that's absolutely fine as well. All I would say is if you only look at revenue, make sure you pay attention to the price point as well. There's no point making 4 or 5 grand in revenue if you're selling at £10, as you're going to really, really struggle to actually make any money at that price point, as your profit margins are going to be very, very tight. From the seller country stroke region perspective, I like to see at least a few GB sellers on here. If they're all Chinese sellers, and it often suggests the margins are too tight, we've got a good collection here of GB sellers, which is a very, very positive sign that this product may have potential. The fees are nice and low. As a rule of thumb, roughly a third of the overall price. If it's much above that, then the fees might be on the high side, but I'm not seeing anything here to worry about really. We come across a bit further to look at ratings and review counts. So no one's averaging 5 stars. So to average 5 stars, you need to get 4.8 or above. And if you're in a niche where there's lots of people with 5 stars, they can be difficult to compete with, as when you launch a product, maintaining a 5-star average is very, very difficult. So we like to see niches where everyone's averaging 4.5 or 4 stars, just like this niche, as you'll look just like everyone else, and you're not going to have to struggle to maintain that rating. Reviews, this is one where a lot of people get scared off. They see products with hundreds or thousands of reviews and automatically decide that this niche is too competitive. But the way you need to look at it is, can you create a product that would persuade a customer to buy your product over a product with more reviews? Does your product offer a different design element? Does it have a different function or feature or benefit? Something that other product doesn't have. So even if this product here has 500 reviews and yours has 10, if you've got something else that that product doesn't, then you're not going to be compared based on the review count. And that's how you have to look at reviews. Don't get too caught up on arbitrary figures. Yes, I do like to see evidence of new sellers on the front page. So maybe people with double figure or low 3-figure reviews. So we've got 175 here, 109, 59. That is evidence that it is possible to get into the top results without needing crazy numbers of reviews. Now, if everyone here was at 4-figure reviews, then maybe I would reconsider that. But this niche, there's nothing here that would scare me off. And finally, if we scroll over to the right-hand side, cast your eye over the size tier column. You want to avoid going into the oversized tier, as fees go up quite quickly there. So always pay attention to the dimensions and the weight of the product to make sure your fees aren't going to be too high. And sometimes products can be right on the border. So be aware of the cutoffs of the different tiers of dimensions so that you can tweak your product if necessary to just drop down a tier. Sometimes that can be £1 or £2 difference to your profit margins by adjusting your product by 0.5 centimetre or a centimetre or something like that. We also like to see a lot of FBA sellers. If you see a lot of AMZ sellers, that can mean you're going to struggle to compete against them. And if you see a lot of FBM sellers, it often means that the product's quite large or heavy, or you aren't actually allowed to sell it via FBA either. And then you finally got the creation date on this right-hand column here. I like to see at least a few entrants from the past 12 months or 18 months or so, just to show that it's still possible to get ranked in this niche. If you looked on here and everyone was from 4 or 5 years ago, it shows it's very difficult for new listings to get any traction. And equally, if everything was launched in the last few months, then it might show that there's some sort of issue with this niche, with new sellers constantly joining it or old sellers getting kicked off. So that's something to be aware of as well. So you want to see a good mixture of old listings, but also new ones joining in the game. So that is how I analyze a niche. So my overall takeaway from this product is I would probably keep this on my shortlist and then come back to this and look at it once I'd finished my product research session. Now, what I don't do is find a product and start deep diving onto it. What I do is I'll do this, I'll put it on my shortlist, and then I'll do this product research process for maybe an hour or an hour and a half until I've got maybe 3 to 5 products. And then I'll come back to them the next day and look at them with fresh eyes, and then I'll deep dive into each individual product. What happens is people do this, they find one product, they deep dive, they go into Alibaba, they waste 2, 3, 4 hours of their time, and then actually it turns out that product isn't viable and they're no further along. If you've got 3 to 5 products instead and you work looking at all of them together, it's a much better place to be. So this would probably make my shortlist with the concerns. One, potentially the price point may be on the low side, but we do have evidence that it is possible to push for a higher price point. The other thing to keep in mind, as this is an electronics product, there would be additional hoops that you need to jump through. So you're probably going to need to have a CE marking or a UKCA marking on the product. There'll probably be a safety data sheet that you need to do. And if these have got batteries in there, there's probably going to be some additional requirements as well that you're going to need to jump through to sell these products. So as a new seller, I generally recommend they avoid electronics. But for me, it's something that I may consider. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, I use Helium-10 and X-Ray to do my product research. They've got an offer on in January at the moment, which is get 30% off for the first 3 months. There is an affiliate link which will bring you directly to this page in the pinned top comment and in the description as well. If you're watching this video after January, then you can use discount code FBA Elite 20, and that will save you 20% off for your first 6 months or 25% off for the entire year. Now, if you're keen to start Amazon FBA, but you're not sure about all the steps, I'm going to pop up a video now which will show you everything you need to do to make your first £100,000, and I'll see you guys over there.